and welcome to GenFriends. I'm your host, Cheri Hudson Passey from Carolina Girl Genealogy. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. First, I want to welcome these wonderful panelists. We've got Mary Kircher Roddy from MKR Genealogy and the Applied Genealogical Institute. Woohoo! She's here with us tonight. Hi, Mary.
Hi there.
And you know what Mary's going to do. We're going to talk about relative race. And so throughout the season, Mary's going to be researching ahead. Just going to find all sorts of stuff. That's what she does. We've got Jenny Hawran from Like Herding Cats Genealogy. Hello, Jenny.
Hello, happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here too. We've got Laura Hedgecock from Treasure Chest of Memories. Hello, Laura.
Hello.
Are we going to get a visit from Penny tonight?
She is asleep right on the other side of this laptop.
Okay, so maybe.
It was early to bed tonight.
Oh, okay. And of course, we've got Melissa Barker, our archive lady. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
I'm glad you're all here too, because we just had day one of season 15 of Relative Race. Oh my gosh, we're on season 15. It's amazing that we've made it to season, that we're at season 15, day one. So of course, you know what we're going to do for the next, throughout the season, we're going to be covering it. But, we got some hints at RootsTech about where we're going to start. Dan mentioned there'd be some military involvement, which made me really happy as a daughter of a Vietnam vet. My dad was in the Air Force, a lifer in the Air Force. And so that made me really happy. So I'm glad they're doing that. So where'd they start, people?
USS New Jersey.
Yes, so cool. So cool. I thought that was wonderful.
I had to look up where that was. I didn't know.
We have a big event in Seattle every year that's called Seafair, and they always bring the Blue Angels, and then they also often have Navy ships come.
Nice.
And my husband's stepbrother was in the Navy. This, I think, is probably before we even had kids. So in the 80s, maybe. And Kevin was on the USS New Jersey, and that ship came. So he gave us a tour of the ship when it was an active ship. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
That's really fun. That was a great place to start. And of course, that's where they had the challenge. But before we get to all that, I asked each of you to pick a team and kind of introduce the teams, just in case anybody watching hasn't really, looked into who the teams were. So who would like to go first? Doesn't matter to me.
I'll go ahead and go since I'm already talking about Seattle.
Okay.
Team Blue is from Seattle. I was so excited when I saw that. So that's where I live, for all of you out there in internet land that don't know.
So if they end up anywhere in Seattle, you're going to feel like I did the several times they were near me in Myrtle Beach going, I can't believe they were out here filming and I didn't see the car.
Yeah. So, I mean, I will say their first, and we'll talk about it later, but their first family member was in Missoula, Montana. And there's a lot of connections between Montana and Seattle because
nice.
Yeah, it just Seattle's kind of the, for whatever it's worth, the big smoke, and not that it's all that big, but so a lot of the Northwest area, agencies and so forth would have their headquarters in so like Idaho and Montana.
Gotcha.
And Alaska are all kind of nexus to Seattle. So anyway, it didn't surprise me, and hopefully they're coming west. We'll see how their thing goes. But it's a mother-daughter team. Joni is the mom, and her daughter Rosanna. Joni had her daughter when she was 18 years old, and Joni herself was adopted when she was only 5 days old. And Joni had her daughter, but Joni had some substance abuse issues, and so her parents raised Rosanna, and Joni didn't really regain custody. It sounded like till Rosanna was like about 12 years old, but they're really only 18 years apart. So they kind of said that they're more like friends than mother-daughter, really.
Oh gosh, there's just
Yeah.
going to be a really interesting story, and we'll get into their story as we progress. I see that Jenny's wearing red. Aren't you doing Team Red?
I am. I am. I am. So Team Red is Kaylee and Dan from Phoenix, Arizona, and they are niece and uncle.
Yeah, which is
And
interesting. Yeah.
the twist with Kaylee is she was on season 13 with her aunt Kelly, and together they met Ashley and Brenna.
Uh,
Um, and so that was kind of a fun little twist. And Kaylee was raised by her mother, kind of an NPE situation, not parent expected. She thought her dad was one person and her biological father, and but when she took an ancestry test, she said things didn't quite add up. So she has a lot of questions, and so she is looking for her bio father and any other information. And then her uncle Dan is married to her aunt Kelly, who was on season
mhm. It
13,
was
and
yes.
he was adopted early on. And his is a sweet story. He obviously loved his adoptive mom and dad very much, and they're both passed away. And yeah, and they said this is just a perfect time in their life to
Right.
take this journey together.
Exactly. This is going to be a fun story, especially with the tie-in with the
Mhm.
previous season, right?
Mhm.
Melissa, you've got Team Green, right?
Yes, Team Green for St. Patrick's Day today.
Hi, Green.
Yeah, it's Jen and Leland, who are a mother-daughter combo. They are from Elk Ridge, Utah. And they have a very interesting situation. Jen, the mother, is the one who was adopted. Her mother left her at the hospital to be adopted. And so, but interestingly, they're actually on a mission to find out some medical information. I don't know that we have had this before, looking
No,
for
I
medical
don't think
information.
so either.
But they both, the mother and daughter both, have a condition called monolithics, and it is a hair condition. I never heard of this, so I looked it up. It's a hair condition. Of course, she explained in the show a little bit about it, but it actually forces them both to have to wear wigs because
Mhm.
their hair is very delicate. It breaks off, and it's just, and when you read about it, it sounds like something that, would be hard to deal with, but they seem to both take it in stride, and they love to have different hairstyles, and they go wig shopping together. And so I can imagine, in genealogy, some of us that have medical conditions that seem to be in our genes or handed down or passed down, or other members of the family have it. We can say, oh, well, my aunt had it, or my father had it, or
Right,
my mother.
right.
But when you're an adoptee, you don't have that luxury
Oh, exactly.
of where this came from. And so that's one of their major things that they're looking for. And I think it'll be interesting to see if there is someone, if they're,
Mhm. If
one of
they
their
get
family
those
members
answers,
has
yes.
been passed down, and if it's been in the family for generations.
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really interesting because, a
Yeah.
lot of adoptees, that's why they want to find family, is they want that health information. So I think this is great that they're using this story on the show to help other people too. So it's going to be
Yeah,
fun to.
and similarly on Team Blue, Joni struggles with addiction, and she also was wondering about family connections. And
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So Laura, you've got Team Black, right?
yeah, so Team Black is David and
And
Gabby,
you've got Black on as well. You
and
went,
they are
you went with your
also an
theme.
uncle and niece team from
Yeah.
LA.
We've never
It's
had, have
very
we ever had an uncle and niece team? And this time we've got two.
Yeah.
right. So David is a freelance photographer and a poet, and he was adopted twice, which I guess
Mm,
means one didn't work out. He was in three
yeah.
different foster homes
I was just crushed
before
by
he
his
was
story.
put in a home adopted by the Warnicks, and
Mhm.
that's who Gabby's dad was. Dean Warnick was Gabby's dad, and so David and Dean were adopted brothers. And Gabby is an HR person, and she loves the beach. And Yes, so so David is looking for siblings, and like he says, he has no baby pictures. And
Mhm.
Gabby said she no longer has her dad around. She's just kind of looking for connections of, who she came from and trying to get a, a stronger connection to her dad too, through knowing who his family was.
Right. Because he was adopted as well. So he doesn't know. And she
Right.
doesn't know that family. And so, yeah. So this
I,
is a, go ahead. Go ahead,
yeah,
Jen.
I said I feel like this is the team that's going to just make me cry all season because
Oh,
they're very tender
oh,
feelings going on there,
yes.
and
Mhm.
this
Yes.
is
Yeah,
there's a
for
lot of
sure.
emotion in this team.
I
Yeah,
think you're right.
Hmm.
I think so too. So before they get started, and Dan tells them what their challenge is going to be to get to their car, he tells them, well, there's going to be strikes this season. And they all went, yeah, no strikes. Because remember last season, there were no strikes. So, and it was all confusing about how they were going to do it. So this time, if I'm saying it right, they will get strikes. And instead of going home at the end of the third strike, whoever gets the most strikes, so they're all going to go to day 10.
Yeah, that was the next announcement after no strikes, and they said everybody
Right.
goes to
They're all going to, yeah, they're all going to
okay,
go to
I
day
have
10.
strikes. There will be consequences.
There will be consequences because the two teams that get the most amount of strikes on day 10 have to do an extra challenge to start off day 10. And then whoever loses that challenge is off. That's it for them on day 10. So at least
I
we get
think
to
it's
see them all through day 10. Go ahead, Laura.
I think they're going to have like a whole extra 5 minutes of storyline because they don't have to explain the whole eliminated position stuff anymore.
That's a good point. Yes, it's not going to be so confusing. So just whoever racks up the most strikes, those last two teams will end up going head to head to see if they continue on day 10. So at least that's easier. It's easier for us to figure out and watch. Um, so Dan's telling them that what they have to do is they have to get a map and they have to go find anchors. And when they get the anchor, then they run back to the gun and then they get to shoot off the gun, which was kind of really fun. Yes, Mary.
Oh, a map of the ship, not just
Yeah, I
like
meant
a
a map.
street map. Yes,
Yeah,
yep,
yeah,
map of the
sorry.
ship.
Yeah, a map of the ship. It's like I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. A map of the ship. And so some of them try to be really strategic and say, we think everybody's going to go to the closest one. So we'll try to find a different one because it was first come, first serve at that gun. They just, when you got to that point, if there was no anchor there, then you had to go find another one. So Team Black kind of had a hard time finding their anchor. Team Blue was right on it. They got it right away and were able to.
I thought it was funny. Team Green kept saying, "Yeah, we're looking for this anchor," and everywhere we looked, we see Team Black. Like they
Yeah,
were like running like side by side. Sometimes it was kind of funny.
it was funny. And did you see the poor? I mean, they had GoPros on their head, but there was
Yeah,
some guy filming running behind them too. I thought that was
yeah,
really
yeah,
funny. You
yeah,
can see him in some of those scenes.
yeah.
I thought that was really funny, but I know a couple of them, I'm sad. They really felt like they had started on the race when they got to shoot the gun, and
But
so they,
I thought it was different how they how they did it this year, where their cars were all waiting for them
yes.
in the place, and they were all going to take. They did the challenge to get in the cars that were going to take them to the airport. That was really
Airport.
different.
That
Yeah,
was,
no one was within driving distance
Yeah,
of the New Jersey. They all had
yeah.
to go some long distance.
yeah, that was different.
Yeah, that was really different. And I thought it was funny too, as each one of them got to their little limo that was going to take them, to the airport, first thing they did was they started opening up the backpacks to see what was in the backpack. They had a camera, like a Polaroid in there, and they had tons of maps. And of course, they had their cell phone without any internet access. So they were off and running. So I thought it was a really fun start. It was a little different than they've done before, and the challenge wasn't terribly horrible. I mean, it was,
Yeah.
just first come, first serve to finding those anchors.
I just thought it was interesting that I'm wondering if they also did this to make their drive times shorter, like maybe that I don't know. I just felt like, I mean, I can't remember which team, it was like 39 minutes or something like that was their drive time, which
Yeah,
is
instead of
maybe these team, we've heard from past seasons who they're like, it's a long day, it's a
a
long
long
day to
day.
drive 4 hours and then,
Yeah, exactly.
maybe they're just
Well,
trying something different.
they still had to
Fly,
fly
right,
somewhere.
Yeah.
But
right,
yeah, they
Hopefully they
all, I mean, there
slept on
was
the
like
plane.
right, right.
somebody went to New Mexico, Colorado,
Yeah, Team
um,
Black went to New Mexico.
Oklahoma, and Montana. So they
Yeah.
were all west.
Yeah.
Well, which makes you wonder, or makes you ask the question. I mean, we don't know, but it makes you ask the question, why did they pick New Jersey to start with that?
Right.
Why didn't they pick something more central where everybody was located?
Well,
It's
because it
probably
was
hard to find a battleship that's
right.
centrally located in the US.
Yeah.
Well, there's one in South Carolina they could have used. I've been on that
But
one.
Yeah,
that's
but
not
it's
central
still far
either.
away.
I
Oh, there
know.
not any in
Kidding.
California. That would have
I'm
been
just kidding. Yeah.
not from
Yes.
Montana, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. So who knows? Who knows why they pick where they pick, but I guess that was a good military
But it
theme.
was neat.
Yeah, it was really neat. It was something different. And it's going to be interesting to see as they go along and where this ends up because it's going to stay the same theme. So, and Dad did give us a hint at Roots Tech saying that where they go for day 10 was so much fun, he didn't want to leave.
Mhm. He said,
Oh,
if, people, so you need to put your link, Cheri, in the show
Oh, I
notes.
will. So people can watch that if they haven't seen it.
Questions
Okay.
Dan took because he talked about something else that happened in this season that is going to shock everybody.
Yeah, he
And
says
really
shocking.
went
Right.
on and on about it. So I'm kind of like, okay, what is this going to be?
What is this going to be? Right. Yeah, I'll put the link in there in case people haven't seen it. So, and to explain just a little bit, Laura and Jenny and I were at Roots Tech and we had signed up to interview Dan, and somehow the interview time got just switched and we didn't get the message and I just happened to be where he came in and poor Laura and Jenny were nowhere. They were out taking classes. I don't know where they were, but there was no time to get a hold of them. And so I ended up being able to interview him with some other media reps, but not them. And I feel so bad. But we'll put that link in here so that you can see the whole interview if you haven't seen it yet, because he was quite talkative about this new season. So that'll give you some ideas about what he says is coming up that we're going to be looking for. And so, but every time we talk to him, he always says, "This is the best season ever." He always says that. So we shall
good. That's really
see.
good that he always feels that way.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is.
I think so too. I think so too. So, let's get started about what was going on with these teams and who they met and their driving. They all seemed to when they got to the airport and they seemed to have gotten to their destinations on time. Without too much trouble. Yes, Jenny.
No, I would say the best thing was the best laugh out loud was when Team Red got in their car.
Yes.
Oh,
And there was a
yes.
big head poster of cousin Ashley in the back, and they just burst out laughing. And it
Yes.
was so unexpected and it's just
Yeah.
so fun.
So Ashley's coming along with them on the journey.
Yeah, it was
Which is
fun.
so fun. And we've not had this happen before. We haven't had somebody who was on the show previously on the show again that I can remember. I think this is the first time that that has happened. So,
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify, they were just on the one episode as the relatives
as the
Ashley came in
relative,
and met.
that's right, in season 13. Absolutely. So
They weren't contestants, but yeah,
it's
very interesting.
gonna be
But
it's
it makes you think. I mean, it stands to reason because they saw what it's like to meet new family.
great.
Of course, they want to follow up on it.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, that was great. Well, while we're on them, why don't we go ahead and talk about who they met? Team Red.
Kaylee met her Aunt Bridget on her dad's side and her cousin Cassie. I think it was Cassie, right?
Yes, correct.
The most beautiful cheekbones I've ever seen in
Oh
a
my
family.
gosh. Yes, you could tell that they were related. So it was
And yeah, and it was very sweet. So Aunt Bridget was Kaylee's dad. is Kaylee's dad's sister. And they just had a really great, fun little tea party,
Yeah,
which was
I love
just
that.
so. And I guess they're extra like that, and I guess Kaylee's extra like that, so they bonded over that. So that was really,
So she's you. She's you.
yeah. So that was fun, and they set up like these really cute like playing cards with,
Yes,
and they're like, oh, Kaylee, you
I
know,
loved that idea.
and she's like, okay, who's this person? And that was just, she saw her grandfather, who was a
Yeah,
lieutenant colonel in the Air Force. She saw
that's
her
where the
grandmother.
military came into that one. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and then
it's
she
really
saw,
like an Alice in Wonderland because they said come
yeah,
in and go down into the rabbit hole, and then they
yeah,
Yeah.
had the cards, and then
yeah. And it was just really fun. And she saw a baby
Yes.
picture of her father, who's still alive. And
Uh,
that was really great. So
Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah. That was really creative. I think that's one of the most creative relative meetings we've seen too. I thought that was really great. No,
Yeah.
everybody else is going to be expecting these, big card games with their relatives. So when they watch the season back, they'll go, "Hey, somebody better do that for me."
Yeah.
Um, how about Team Green, Melissa?
Oh,
Let's
I
talk a
think
little bit about
Green,
them. Yeah.
I think Team Green's meeting was, I think sometimes the relative race picks one team, or if they have it, one team to get the big one, I would call it.
Yeah,
One
the first day. Yeah,
yeah,
because I always think
day.
when they do that, Melissa, who else are they going to meet if they're doing this the first day,
Yeah.
So go ahead,
But
tell.
anyway, Jen, the mother, Jen, met her father.
They
Met,
won.
I know, met her father, Dale Kohler. Um, he is with a military thing. He is a Vietnam veteran in the Army. And also at this point, I'll say a shout out to my dad, who's no longer with us. He was a Vietnam veteran, Air Force, 20 years, and he was in Saigon, so he was in the middle of everything.
Wow.
Yes.
But anyway, met her dad, and he did not know anything about her, that she had, was his daughter, and knew anything about her being in the world. And what was very, very sweet was that they sat down, and of course they were asking and talking, getting to know each other. And Jen asked, well, do you have any other children? And he said, yes, I do. And so she's got 4 brothers and a sister, I believe.
Yeah.
I thought it was 4 kids.
4 kids. I think it's 3 brothers and a sister. I
Okay.
think it's 4 kids total, but
Yeah. Well, then he proceeded to read her a text message or something from his daughter. And it was so sweet, saying, that share him. She doesn't mind
yeah.
with her, and so that was very nice. I think it will help Jen too, because we know a lot of these contestants are, one of their biggest fears is being accepted, accepted by their parents, but also accepted by others in the family.
Right.
And so they seem to really hit it off and get along. First thing she said was, "I have your nose."
Yes. Yes,
So,
and he agreed. Yeah, that was really, really sweet. I really liked that reunion.
really good reunion for them. And again, one of the themes is the military theme, and so right off the bat, we get to know that he was a Vietnam veteran. So
Yeah, and he mentioned that he drove tanks.
yes, he worked on tanks.
Yeah, he worked on tanks. So
He was a diesel mechanic.
yeah.
Mechanic.
And I thought he had mentioned something about working or helping to refuel C-130s or something like that at one point. I don't remember now if it was him or somebody else's story, but I think he was the only Vietnam vet. So my dad was a flight engineer in Vietnam on C-130s, and they would refuel helicopters up in the middle of the air and almost got shot down a couple of times. So, and speaking of dads, I have to say, since it's St. Patrick's Day, this would have been my dad's 84th birthday today. So it's kind of nice to be, talking about the military aspect of a relative race on this day of the anniversary of his birth. So anyway,
Awesome.
yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. So
Also, he had heard that she was a boy.
yes.
Yeah, say that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for pulling that
But
up.
I didn't get
And
like at what point in time that was. Like, was that just recently or like way back when she was
probably
born?
yeah, because he didn't act like he knew. So I'm not sure when that was. And Melissa, what else that she?
No, she was born, and so it must have been something because she asked him how long has he known about her, and I want to say he said just months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But she thought, and she was told that he wore glasses and
Yeah.
red hair,
Like
maybe. I think
tall
it was
and
red.
thin or something like that. Yeah. And so sometimes things get messed up in that adoption paperwork. So it happens. I think it's funny that they both had these preconceived notions before they met, and neither one of them was correct. So I think that's really funny. Really funny. But
Yeah.
it was a sweet, sweet reunion. And then, of course, her daughter meets her grandfather. So it was just very, very special. I loved that so much.
Yeah.
Laura, do you want to tell us who Team Black met?
Yeah, so in a way, Team Black was the opposite because they didn't go for a really close relative. They met this beautiful little lady. Her name is Lydia. And
Yeah.
I thought I understood them to say that Lydia was Gabby's grandmother's cousin.
Yeah.
Yes.
So not a close cousin, but anyway,
On her dad's side.
On her
on her dad's side, and she looks like Gabby's father.
Yeah.
But she is a family historian. And so she had all these, I won't say ancient, but old pictures. And she was so funny about them. Like, I can't believe I don't even think there was photography back then,
Yeah,
and they
she was
still
so
got the
funny.
picture.
I know, she was really
So
funny.
she got to like really the bird's eye view of the family and saw a family tree chart and where her dad fit in and his ancestors. And seems like there's a depth of connection there in New Mexico.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I'm
but
excited
they
that you're in New Mexico because I lived in Albuquerque for a time and I've been through grants. And so I was like, oh my goodness.
so it seemed like they bonded really well.
We did,
So
yeah.
it was a sweet reunion.
I think so too. She
Didn't
said
she find out by looking at that family tree that who was it that was still alive?
her dad. I mean, not her dad.
Her grandma is still
grandfather,
alive.
sorry.
Her grandmother
Her
is still
grandma's
alive.
Yeah. Yeah, her grandma's still alive. Yeah, because that's why she's on the journey is to look for relatives of her father. So yes, so her grandmother is still alive.
And I mean, Gabby was really like visibly like taken aback when she
Yes.
realized it was her relative. I mean, this is very, very emotional for her. I mean,
Yes.
this is quite a journey for her.
Mary?
Yeah, I don't think she's.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead,
Laura.
Mary.
Well, I didn't really understand because her uncle is her dad's brother. And is her uncle her dad's adopted brother?
Adopted.
They were both adopted. Yeah. That's why that's why the uncle is looking for family. Remember, he was in foster care all those years and so they were both adopted.
But the uncle and the dad aren't biologically
They're not
related.
biological.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand
Yeah.
quite what was going on there, whether they were biological brothers that were adopted by the same couple, but not. Okay.
No.
So
Well, and sometimes, and in all the seasons, we all get confused, and so we always tell, especially the teams that watch, that we try really hard, but then we start talking about it, then we get confused. But by the end, by day 10, we know who you all are. We know what your stories are.
In the first episode, it's a lot of information, a lot of
to take in.
relationships.
Exactly. It's a lot to take in. So that one was really sweet. Was really sweet. So who haven't we talked about? Mary.
Team Blue.
Team Blue. So Joni met her cousin on her dad's side.
Yeah.
That was fun. She said that she was familiar with Missoula because the mom who raised her had gone to school in Missoula or grown up in Missoula or something.
Yeah.
And interestingly, the cousin is in recovery and he's had some substance abuse issues. So the two of them kind of bonded over that.
Yeah. Well, it's nice.
And that may
nice
be
to find somebody who could understand.
Clues to some of those family issues that or tendencies that Joni's trying to find out more about.
Exactly. So some great connections
And
just on one. Go
she
ahead.
also saw a picture of her dad.
Yes.
That was a
Yes,
little
she
boy.
did.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
was a
she
tiny
did.
Yeah.
I
squirt.
and I really applaud her for speaking so just honestly, about, a relapse that she had like 2
Exactly, because
years
she could have
earlier,
tried to
whatever.
hide it, Yeah,
That's really, really holding her accountable on national TV, saying I'm in
exactly.
recovery. I mean, I can't imagine, and but like Mary said, I mean, they seem to bond about how difficult it was, to be in recovery.
Exactly. So all in all, I think a fabulous day one. It was great. But did you notice since they had to do all those other things, how short the call at the end
Yeah.
of the day was? I mean, that was short as boom, who'd you meet? Boom, who'd you meet? Who'd you meet? And so they all got to tell who they met, and everybody was, of course, just so supportive as they always are and loving, to whom they met. And of course, I think the biggest reaction came when Team Green, she says, I met my dad, it was like, ah! So, and all hoping that they're going to meet somebody that close, they all are. And so that was sweet. And then of course they had to go through the results, which is always, now that we know that they're all going to go to day 10, I don't think we're going to dread it like we used to. It used to be
Probably not.
so scary because we didn't want anybody to go home, and so now we don't have to worry about that. We're going to be able to see, everybody getting to meet their relatives. And another thing is, as you watch the video that Dan mentioned, was that they did this because every time they'd send somebody home early, they would get hate mail at Lindswork Productions. What are you doing? Why are you sending these people home? We want to see their family, and so they had to figure out a system that would work the best. And I know they tried it last season, and hopefully this one will work a little bit better and not be quite as confusing as it was last year. But they're still doing benefits, and they're still giving out penalties. So that's still going to be part of
Yeah, but
the.
I don't think they're not doing the eliminated position, and you have to win your
No,
way out of the eliminated position to
no,
be in the top three. So,
That
no.
was confusing.
And like Laura said at the beginning of the show, she said that'll give us 5 more minutes to be able to actually learn about the family instead of trying to figure out what was going on to be eliminated. So yeah, so that'll be good. We get to have more video of the actual teams and their families, perhaps, since they're not doing it that way. All right, results, people. Anybody want to read results? Who came in number one?
red,
Red,
Red. Who came in number two, which was a surprise?
black.
Black, after getting started last. That was great. And so then, of course, you have to go through okay, so it's going to be one of these two teams. And unfortunately, Team Green, right, came in last,
No,
no,
unfortunately.
Team
they came in
Blue.
third.
Oh, was it Blue? Sorry.
Blue was last.
You're right. I was looking at Mary thinking it was her team, but seeing all that green behind her, and I said
Yeah, well,
green.
it's my St. Patrick's Day, my Irish people.
Exactly. So they've got one strike. But as we always say, we've seen that happen, and then they never get another strike on the show.
Somebody's has to get the first strike.
Somebody's
So
got to get the first
yeah.
strike. And a lot of times getting that first strike, we've seen it really spurs them on to do a little bit better.
And wasn't it red that said that city was all on a grid? So like
That
they
was
didn't really
so
even have to
easy.
stop to ask for directions because it's all on a
Exactly.
grid.
It was all on a grid. Yeah. So it's
Oh,
all going to just depend on.
Which team was it that was one of the mother-daughter teams? I think that when they started to look at the map and they go, I can't read this map, and they
Oh,
stopped.
I know. That was so
Team
Yeah,
Green.
it was Team Green.
That was
Yeah.
Team Green. That was
Yeah.
hysterical. That was hysterical. And somebody wasn't listening to us. Study the maps.
Yes.
No, there wasn't
maps.
enough detail on the maps.
Yeah. Sterling, Colorado is probably not a real big place.
It's
Yeah.
probably not.
Like
It's probably
Main Street.
not.
That's it. That's all the street you get. The
Black
city.
team, they were showing them traveling in New Mexico. There was nothing.
Oh no, there is, and that's the way it is. I mean, you get on the freeway, you go through Grants and stop to go to the bathroom as you're headed on to Arizona or California because there's just nothing out there. Absolutely nothing out there.
It looked beautiful
Yeah, I was
though.
gonna say it's beautiful, but it's just as barren as what you saw. It's just like that, but it's a beautiful, beautiful part of the world. So next week,
Wait a minute. So
wait a minute,
there's still
what I miss?
they'll get the strike, but then the next week you're probably gonna say this. What's gonna be the
Oh, that's right. They just said that the other teams are going to get penalized, but they didn't say what the penalty is. Yeah.
Read the fine print.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. They did say, but read the fine print. Thank you, Mary. Yeah. Yeah. That's going to
Whatever
be
that means.
whatever that means. Read the fine print. Exactly. So that's going to be interesting to see how they're doing that. So, because they change things up every year, and I like that they change things up every year. So it's not the same. I mean, we get, you
Yeah.
know, the emotional part where they're meeting the family, but by changing up other little things, it kind of makes it not be the same show every time, you know? It's a little bit different. So, but season 15, y'all, I cannot believe we're on season 15. It's amazing. And I just think about how many families have been connected and reunited, and just from the people that we see on the shows, then more and more and more and more, you know, family gets connected to that particular team, and it's amazing to me that they've been able to keep going for this long, and we hope they continue for many more seasons. So,
Yeah.
and Mary, we'll put you on, see if you can figure out next week what things are going to be happening after that. Since
Okay, I'll be on it.
And maybe they'll come to Seattle and we'll get
Maybe.
to see.
No.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. But you're going to be sad. You will, I promise you. If you see them running around Seattle somewhere, you're going to be so sad because I'm sad when they come
Yeah.
close to me. I mean, they've been so close to me before. I've driven down the roads and not just one time, because I mean, I've used those roads a lot, and I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I could have driven right past them. Why didn't they tell me? So that's how you're going to feel. So anyway, anything else for this first day that we didn't catch? I think we got it all. I think this is going to be a fabulous, fabulous season. I really do think it's going to be a good season. There's enough twist in it and enough difference in partnerships and the teams. You know, like the uncles and the nieces. I mean, we've never seen that before. I think that's really cool. We've got Team Green, who's trying to figure out why they've got this certain see if it's genetic about their hair. So the health issue that we've never seen before. So I think, and they've never out of the military. I think that's a great addition as well. So I appreciate them doing that. But I think we're good. And like I said, when y'all watch us, you know, cover the show, remember that we're trying to remember everything too. And most of us have watched it once, and then we talk about it, and then we do the best we can. So teams, if we mess up your names, or we mess up like what happened to you, or like what I did a while ago and looked at Mary because I knew it was Mary's team, but I just when she introduced this week and I said it was Team Green that came in with the last, it's just part of it is me. So. I'm good at making mistakes. Anyway, we are so grateful to have you watch us, and I hope you'll stay with us as we go all the way to day 10 and see who people meet, and who all the military relatives are, and who ends up winning the grand prize at the end. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. We'd love to see your comments and your thoughts about the different days and the different events, and your predictions for what is fine print. Tell us, do you know? We would love to know. So we will see you next time on GenFriends. Bye, everybody.
Bye.